Hello, Barcelona family. Like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we are going to talk about a huge bombshell at Barcelona, but before that, we need to address some very important topics for our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. Barcelona is starting to move with determination and a strategic vision for next season. After a season rich in lessons and demands, the club understands that to continue growing, it is necessary to strengthen key positions, and few are as urgent as that of the right back. For years, this position has been a real headache for the coaches who have passed through the Barcelona bench. Despite the talent and the occasional solutions, Barcelona has not had a world-class right back who has established himself as an undisputed starter for too long. Now, with Hansi Flick at the helm, the need to strengthen this flank is an absolute priority. The German coach is very clear that to execute his game plan, he needs fullbacks who not only defend but also build, provide width, verticality, and the ability to unbalance. Flick's Barcelona will be a dynamic, brave team with offensive ambition, and in this context, the figure of the right back takes on capital importance. That is why it is not surprising that the name that has most seduced the sports management led by Deco is that of the Dutchman Jeremy Frimpong. Frimpong has shone brightly at Bayer Leverkusen, where he has been an undisputed pillar in the successful scheme of Xavi Alonso. His evolution has been meteoric. At just 23 years old, he has established himself as one of the best fullbacks in European football, combining speed, agility, dribbling, linking ability, and a reading of the game that makes him formidable both in transition and in positional attack. His impact on matches is immediate. He is not just another fullback, he is a constant generator of advantages, a player who can break lines with acceleration or assist with precision from the flank. Frimpong does not limit himself to fulfilling his role, he goes further. He has that little extra that transforms a good footballer into a game-changer. His ability to overlap, to appear in the interior zones, to create goal-scoring opportunities, and to press after losing the ball fits perfectly with what Flick is looking for, a team with active fullbacks, capable of participating in all phases of the game. His tactical intelligence and defensive commitment have also been key elements in Leverkusen's system, and this means that the Dutchman arrives with the maturity necessary to succeed in a club of Barcelona's stature. From the player's entourage, it has been hinted that he would look favorably on a transfer to Barcelona, despite more generous economic offers from the Premier League. Frimpong prioritizes the experience in Spain, a football that values technique, linking, and reading of the game, and in this context, Barcelona appears as the ideal destination, not only for its history or prestige but also because the sports project is attractive, ambitious, and is led by a coach who knows how to get the best out of this type of profile. Regarding his contractual situation, Frimpong has a release clause of around 40 million euros. Bayer Leverkusen is not willing to let him go for less, aware that he is one of its most precious assets. But Barcelona is clear, if a significant investment is to be made in defense, it must be for a differential player. That is why strategic exits are being worked on to free up salary mass and generate sufficient income to carry out the operation with guarantees. It is not about recruiting for the sake of recruiting, but about building with intelligence and sports sense. Other options such as Van der Sun, Dodo, or even Mark Pubil have been considered, but the feeling in the offices of the Ciudad Deportiva is clear. None offer the present and potential that Jeremy Frimpong brings together. It is a market opportunity that cannot be missed. If the club manages to put the pieces together and make the operation viable, it will be one of the big moves of the summer. Since Flick's arrival, an in-depth analysis of the squad has been carried out. The German is meticulous, studious, and knows what he needs to execute his idea successfully. One of the weak points of last season was undoubtedly the fragility of the fullbacks. Condé made a Herculean effort playing out of his natural position, accumulating minutes to the limit, while Hector Fort, despite his potential, is not yet ready to take on the starting role in such a demanding position. That is why an immediate solution is needed, a player ready to compete from day one and raise the collective level. Frimpong can be that player, and more, he can be one of the symbols of the new Barcelona cycle, a cycle that must combine young talent with proven experience, that bets on joyful but disciplined football, and that recovers that competitive essence that has always characterized the great teams of the club. With names like LAMINE, Bald, PEDRI, or GAVI leading the new generation, the addition of Frimpong would reinforce the idea of a hungry Barcelona, with rhythm and energy. Tactically, his arrival would even allow for varying the systems. Flick could opt for a line of 3 defenders with Frimpong as a wingback, exploiting his depth and power. He could also maintain a 4-man defense with the Dutchman as a pure fullback, although his movements inside and his ability to appear in the finishing zones would give a special touch to the offensive game. In other words, Frimpong is a versatile reinforcement that expands the coach's options and forces the opponent to adapt. But beyond the tactical aspect, there is also a symbolic value in his recruitment. Incorporating one of the most promising fullbacks in European football sends a clear message: Barcelona is back. And now, as Qs, it is inevitable to ask ourselves the question: what do we think of the possible recruitment of Jeremy Frimpong? Does his arrival excite us? Do we think he can be that right back we have missed so much in recent years? Personally, I am clear. Frimpong would be a total success, a recruitment that not only improves the team but also fits perfectly into what we want to become again. It is time to recover that right flank, to see a fullback who goes up and down tirelessly, who combines with the midfielders, who connects with the winger, and who has the character to make a difference in the big games. And Frimpong has all that. The future of Barcelona is being built, and recruitments like this one pave the way. Hopefully, this summer we will be able to see Frimpong tread the pitch of the Olympic Stadium with the Blaugrana shirt, because Barcelona deserves to recover a right back who excites, who makes a difference, and who makes us dream. And you, Kuhl, what do you think? Would you like to see Frimpong in our team next season? The second piece of news concerns an important decision at the club. The transfer market has always been a terrain where young talent makes the difference between clubs that plan with vision and those that improvise. In this scenario of opportunities and global competition, Barcelona has once again demonstrated that it knows how to look beyond the obvious. With Hansi Flick at the helm of the project, the Blaugrana sports management has taken an interest in one of the names that has most surprised in South American football in recent months: Kevin Castano. The Colombian midfielder, who is shining brightly at River Plate, is no coincidence that his name has started to gain ground in the club's offices. The young midfielder, aged just 24, has made a remarkable entry into Argentine football, leaving his mark in every match with an admirable physical display, mature game reading, and an innate ability to take on responsibilities in midfield. In just a few months, he has become one of the pillars of the millionaire team and has not needed a long adaptation period to show what he is capable of. According to the renowned journalist Fabrizio Romano, a transfer specialist and reliable source in the most demanding circles of international football, Barcelona has positioned itself at the forefront for the recruitment of the young Colombian. Romano's statements leave no doubt. The Blaugrana club's interest is concrete, firm, and with the intention of getting ahead of other European clubs that are also closely watching Castano's progress. This interest is not a sudden whim or a last-minute improvisation. It responds to a clear strategy: to rejuvenate the midfield, strengthen the team's tactical balance, and shape a medium and long-term sports project. Kevin Castano fits perfectly into this model, and from the sports management, his mixed profile is particularly appreciated, capable of contributing both in recovery and in the construction of the game. He is a footballer who does not limit himself to destroying but also proposes, advances, distributes, and supports the team from the axis. Barcelona's new coach, Hansi Flick, has been key in this decision. The German coach, with his vast experience in European football and his rigorous tactical mindset, has identified in Castano an ideal profile to strengthen the team's structure. Flick has asked for reinforcements that adapt to his principles of intensity, order, and verticality, and the Colombian fully meets these requirements. He is a footballer who combines positional intelligence with the aggressiveness to press and, at the same time, possesses the serenity necessary to manage the ball in key moments. What seduces the technical staff the most is his ability to read the game in real time, his dominant physical presence in midfield, and his tactical versatility, which allows him to be used as a classic pivot, as a midfielder with a box-to-box role, or even as a relay midfielder in certain contexts. This versatility would give Flick a valuable tool to adapt the team depending on the opponent or the development of the match. From the Blaugrana management, work has been done silently but with determination. According to internal sources, there have already been contacts with the player's entourage, who have welcomed the Blaugrana interest with enthusiasm. Kevin Castano dreams of playing in Europe and, in fact, in previous interviews, he has expressed his admiration for Barcelona's style of play. For a player with his characteristics, arriving at a club that prioritizes the ball, bets on young talent, and offers such a rich football ecosystem would be the ideal step to continue evolving. In Argentina, both the press and River's technical staff already assume that keeping Castano will be difficult to sustain if a significant offer arrives from Europe, and among the possible destinations, Barcelona positions itself as the most attractive option in terms of project, visibility, and sports projection. The Argentine media highlight his performances match after match, placing him as one of the best midfielders in the championship, and do not hide that European interest in him has increased exponentially. Economically, his recruitment would not represent an exorbitant expense. It is a logical investment, consistent with the club's current financial situation, but also full of future potential. The recruitment of Castano reminds us of other successful operations carried out by Barcelona in recent years, such as the arrival of Ronald Araujo or Pedri, players who arrived without much fanfare and consolidated themselves as fundamental pieces. Furthermore, his arrival could help reorganize the Blaugrana midfield. Footballers like Oriol Romeu do not fully fit into the current model, and others like Frenkie de Jong, despite their talent, need partners who balance the system. In this context, Kevin Castano could become that modern, resistant, disciplined, and intelligent midfielder that has been sought since the departure of Sergio Busquets. The Blaugrana fans are starting to get excited. Social media is already filled with messages supporting the arrival of the Colombian, and it is not without reason. The fans know that this is not just any promise. Kevin Castano is an accomplished footballer, with character, presence, and footballing ability, a player who can contribute from day one and who, with Flick's guidance and the demand of the Blaugrana environment, has everything to become a reference for the present and the future. And you, Kuhl, what do you think? Does the idea of seeing Kevin Castano with the Blaugrana shirt excite you? Do you think he is the reinforcement we need in midfield? Should the club accelerate to finalize his incorporation before other European clubs react? The debate is open, but what is clear is that Barcelona has taken the lead. Now, it is up to the club to take the decisive step and conclude an operation that could be one of the smartest in the market. The recruitment of Castano would be a bet on real football, on emerging talent, on silent and effective work, and it would also be a statement of intent. Barcelona is not just looking for names, it is looking for players who integrate into the soul of the club, who respect its philosophy, and who are ready to grow with it. Kevin Castano seems to be on that path. The future will tell, but everything indicates that the Colombian's path and Barcelona's are destined to cross. The third piece of news concerns Dembele's thunderbolt. In the world of football, some decisions leave scars that time fails to erase. And when these decisions are accompanied by words that hurt the feelings of supporters, the wound reopens, revealing disappointment, indignation, and, in some cases, contempt. This is precisely what has happened again with Ousmane Dembele. The French forward, who left Barcelona for Paris Saint-Germain, not only departed abruptly but now, on the eve of the Champions League final, has spoken again about the Catalan club, making statements that many consider an unnecessary and gratuitous provocation. Dembele, on the brink of the most important match of his club career, was asked about the possibility of facing Barcelona in the Champions League final. His response, seemingly innocent, sparked a storm on social media. It would have been nice to face Barcelona in the final. At first glance, this seems like a harmless phrase, a common observation. But the context and tone in which he expressed it, combined with his previous statements, make it clear that there is much more behind these words. This is not the first time the French winger has spoken about Barcelona with a mix of condescension and coldness. Not long ago, Dembele openly stated that he did not regret leaving the Blaugrana club, justifying his decision by claiming that in Paris, he found a more competitive environment, a solid structure, and more opportunities to reach a Champions League final. According to him, at Camp Nou, he would have struggled to achieve this. A statement that hurt the hearts of many Kuhls, not only because of the timing, just after eliminating Barcelona in the semi-finals, but also because it came from someone who received support, time, patience, and unwavering faith from the institution. Dembele arrived at Barcelona in 2017 as one of the club's most ambitious bets after Neymar's departure. His transfer represented $1 million investment and very high expectations. The young Frenchman arrived at Camp Nou with the label of a world promise, an electric, unpredictable, and unbalancing dribbler. But his time at the club was marked by ups and downs. Injuries severely affected him for years, and although he showed flashes of his quality, he never managed to perform with the regularity and commitment expected of a player of his level and salary. During his stay, he was supported by several coaches, but it was with Xavi Hernandez that he experienced his best version. The technician and club idol firmly believed in his talent, motivated him personally, and placed him as a key piece of the sports project. Despite his physical history, he had continuity and confidence. Xavi himself stated that when Dembele is in form, he is the best in the world in his position. The club made efforts to renew him when his contract was expiring, even conceding on some economic conditions so that he felt valued. But at the first big offer, he activated his release clause and left. And not only did he leave, but he left with a bitter sensation, as if his departure was a liberation from a place where he never felt comfortable, as if Barcelona, a club with 5 Champions Leagues and a history that supports its greatness, was just a stepping stone to what he considers elite football. Dembele's words about PSG's structure compared to Barcelona's have further inflamed spirits. In his view, the Parisian club offers him conditions that the Blaugrana club could not provide. However, it is hard for supporters to swallow that a player who spent years injured, absent from key matches, with absences from training and publicly questioned habits, has the audacity to question the level of the club that supported him so much. Furthermore, one might ask if Dembele truly lacked protagonism at Camp Nou, as recent data and memory contradict his claims. He was a starter on countless occasions, even ahead of other renowned wingers. He was forgiven for absences, rudeness, delays, and even decisions that were difficult to justify. On more than one occasion, the supporters and the club chose to believe in his talent, prioritizing his potential over his lack of consistency. And if we talk about structure, we must remember that Barcelona has gone through very complex years economically, where it was essential to reinvent itself, bet on the youth academy, and compete with intelligence rather than checkbooks. Despite this, the club has won another league title, has been competitive in Europe, and is laying the foundations for a bright future with names like LAMINE, YAMAL, PEDRI, GAVI, Bald, Cubarsí, and Fermin, all born or trained at home and all with a commitment that goes far beyond marketing or contractual convenience. The current project, led by Hansi Flick, aims precisely to strengthen these values. The new coach, meticulous and disciplined, values quality as much as attitude, performance as much as professional ethics. And if one thing was clear during Dembele's time at the club, it is that talent alone is not enough. The Barcelona shirt demands commitment, loyalty, professionalism, and, above all, respect for the history it represents. Dembele's behavior during the semi-final tie did not help soften things. He celebrated his goals with almost vindictive euphoria, as if he wanted to send a message to the club he had left behind. In the return leg, when he was substituted at Montjuic, he provoked the supporters with gestures that did not go unnoticed. It was, ultimately, a gesture of total emotional rupture with Barcelona and its people. And all for what? To demonstrate that he made a good decision. To justify that he chose better by going to Paris? Maybe he did. Maybe he is now closer to winning the Champions League with PSG than if he had stayed at Barcelona. Barcelona supporters have a long memory, and although Dembele was part of its recent history, he will be remembered as an anecdote, as a chapter that never quite found its place. He will not be remembered as one of the greats, nor as one of the indispensables. He will be remembered as the player of lost opportunities, injuries, untimely statements, as someone who was there but never really stayed. And you, Kuhl, how do you interpret Dembele's words? Does it bother you that he speaks about Barcelona with such lightness? Do you think his departure was positive for the club in the long term? What do you think of his protagonism in the Champions League with PSG and his way of speaking about the club that supported him for years? Is he right when he says that Barcelona did not have the structure for a final, or is he simply trying to justify his decision to leave? Leave us your opinion in the comments.